thought I'm here with kind of, I'm thinking of doing kind of a witchcraft series now that we're all kind of stuck at home, just talking about various witchy subjects, things that you might want to talk about or learn or just get opinions on. So I was doing like a Witchy Wednesday, but I'm just going to move it to Saturday. I don't know. I always like alliteration, but I can't really think of a good S word. Saturday supernatural. I don't know. I'll think of something anyway. But what I wanted to actually talk about today is the supernatural. What is it? Do I believe in the supernatural? Do witches have supernatural powers? All those kind of things. Okay, so first of all, what is supernatural? Supernatural is defined as anything that is outside of the realm of what we would call normal scientific reality. So that could be anything from ghosts, aliens, Sasquatch, magical powers, anything that doesn't fit with our normal conventional scientific reality is considered supernatural. Now, do I believe in the supernatural? And the answer to that is yes and no. So yes, I do believe that magic works. I do believe in ghosts. I am open-minded about things like aliens and cryptoids, which are like Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster. Cryptoids are any like animals that we haven't scientifically kind of discovered. So I believe that there's possibilities in those areas, but I don't believe they're supernatural. I think they're part of the natural world. We just haven't found a way to categorize it, or we don't fully understand it yet. So I don't think that these things are not natural. I think they're probably perfectly natural. We just don't fully understand it yet, and our science and our rational minds and how we measure things haven't caught up yet to be able to explain, define, categorize, or reproduce results with these things. Because scientific method is based on, you observe something, you have a hypothesis, you test that hypothesis, you get a result, and you're able to repeat it. Unfortunately, with things like ghosts, paranormal encounters with cryptoids, UFOs, we haven't been able to repeat things. It's not like we can set up an experiment and then repeat it again and again and get the same results. So it makes it really hard for it to fit into kind of that scientific rational model. At the same time, there's far too many stories and far too many people with experiences to say like, oh, it's just somebody making something up. I don't think all these people are making these stories up. Yes, some people are. There are, of course, always frauds and whatever in the world. But, there's lots and lots of examples where multiple people have seen something, or people have similar experiences. They tell stories that are quite similar that show that there is something going on, even if we can't categorically define these things. Now, when it comes to witchcraft, people kind of go into two categories where some people either believe like, yes, magic always works, or no, it's a complete farce. And I think the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle. Of course, I practice witchcraft. I do believe that it exists and that it works on some level. It isn't always repeatable though. And I think that, obviously magic isn't like in the movies. It isn't like, it isn't like something you read in a fantasy novel, obviously not. But it works on a very subtle level. And I think if you approach it with kind of a bit of a scientific mindset, it can really, you can approach it with, I think, better results. So, that's why I think it's really important to keep things like journals for witchcraft, even though I'm not always the best at that. But if you write, things like the time you did it in, the what the weather was like, what tools you used, what was your state of mind when you did this, and then see like what are the results, record the results like any scientist would, and then try to repeat it again if you need a similar spell, and see kind of what results you get. The thing is, there's a lot of factors going on when we do magic spells, when we do practice witchcraft. Everything from our mindset to our specificity of intentions can really help, can really throw things off if we're too specific or not specific enough. What phase was the moon in? What was the weather like? All of these things, there are a lot of factors that make casting effective spells very complex. I think, though, if we worry too much about all of these little variables, we'll never cast a spell. We'll never do anything. I think, though, it is important that you record things and then see what the results are. See what kind of results you got from things. And then you can always tweak things as you move forward and see kind of what works for you and what doesn't. I think the other variable that goes into it is that we're all different. And for some people, doing elaborate ceremonial spells works really well, and for other people it's not going to, and it's not practical. So all of these things create factors that make it a little bit hard for us to create this perfect kind of scientific repeatable process. But I still encourage you to write things down and record your results, see kind of what works for you and what doesn't, because we're all different, things are different, all of those things. So, I don't think of magic as necessarily supernatural. I think that, it is something that is natural. People have been doing it for thousands of years. I think that it is a normal human desire to want to control things to a certain extent, or to be able to influence outcomes. I think also we want our needs to be met, and we want to have a feeling of control and safety in our lives. Some people argue that really casting spells and magic is just a placebo effect. But, if it is, it's a pretty powerful placebo effect. And I think that we can't dismiss that. I think that, even if it just is a placebo effect, the thing is that it's not, if it's making each of us feel better and feel more in control and have a sense of empowerment in our lives, that's not a bad thing. If it's helping us to let go of things, if it's helping us to transform ourselves and the world around us for the better, that's not nothing. Now, I don't think it's just a placebo effect, because I've had too many weird things happen and weird coincidences happen to just say, hey, it's just a placebo, but that's just me personally and my beliefs. But I do think that it definitely empowers people, and that's why I think it can be a good thing. And if you're using it for good in the world, then that's awesome. And obviously, if you're using it for bad, well, that's on you, right? But it's a tool like anything else. But I do believe it exists, and I do believe it works, and I do believe that it has power, and that it is something that can really be used to better our lives and enhance our lives in a positive fashion. Now, I don't, again, think of that as supernatural. I think that is very natural, and it's part of the natural world. We just don't really have a full grasp on it yet and how it works. I mean, there's so many things that we still don't fully understand. Even super smart scientists will tell you we don't totally understand physics. We don't totally understand the nature of reality. But that doesn't mean we throw everything out either, right? We still have to be grounded in the reality that we're in. And I think, unfortunately, because of Hollywood and movies and storytelling and all that stuff, we have this idea of magic as something like, that's like Bewitched, or something like The Craft or whatever, that, we have to remember these are stories, and so they're exaggerations, right? But I don't think of magic as something supernatural. I think of it as something that is very natural. We just don't fully understand it yet. So that's my take on, is magic and witchcraft supernatural? Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you like, no, witchcraft is just a placebo effect, albeit a powerful one? Are you like, no, it totally works? Do you think it's natural? Do you think it's supernatural? What's your definition of supernatural? I would like to hear all of those things. A special thank you to all of my patrons who have been supporting me during this time. I really appreciate it. It's really helping me as well to get out more content and stuff, so I really appreciate that. And especially a shout out to Nathan, Jamie, and Marie for supporting me. I appreciate it so much. If any of you want to join us on Patreon, right now we are journeying through the chakras from now until the end of May, so if you're interested in that, you can totally come and join us. I'll be back next week. If there are other things you'd like me to talk about, please put in the comments below. I'm going to just talk about all sorts of different subjects. Anything that you guys want me to talk about, I will, to a certain extent, for sure. Appropriate, of course. I love all you guys. Stay safe, stay well. I hope you're all doing fabulous. And as always, peace and love and light.